Welcome to Motivating Mondays. My name is Christian St. Cyr, National Director of the Canadian Job Development Network, and this is our weekly opportunity to get together to talk about job development and help career professionals from coast to coast get excited about the process of engaging employers. Usually we'd be doing this live, but since this is the first day of school for many of us across the country, I am busy helping my son get ready for the first day of school. But we'll be back next week, Monday, September 9th, to talk about job development once again. But today we are doing it on a recorded version. What we're going to talk about today is filling the gap where recruitment and temp agencies fall short. When we get together each week to discuss job development within the education or social services or government-funded employment programs sector, we sometimes forget that there's a giant sector that is doing much of the same work. The work of employment placement and recruitment companies in Canada is valued at about $23.1 billion. And actually that amount grew 17.7% between 2021 and 2022, just as we were emerging from the pandemic. By comparison, if we just use a comparison, we can see that the Government of Canada spends just over $2 billion, or less than 10% of what private companies are paying recruitment and search professionals to do much of the same work. According to a recent survey commissioned by Indeed Flex, 68% of employers are using staffing firms to recruit new staff, cover seasonal workload fluctuations, and to fill in for absent permanent employees. As it turns out, employers are not super thrilled with the services that these costly companies are providing. 70% of these companies report low fulfillment rates due to difficulty finding the right workers. Their survey found that 61% of businesses that use staffing firms report that they're using two or more firms to do the work. And actually, in total, only 61% of hiring managers felt that these companies lacked visibility into performance and costs. So it comes back to the question of, why do companies use staffing firms in the first place? Well, 44.5% of these companies use them to recruit new staff. 43.4% use them to cover seasonal fluctuations in their workload. 38.6% use it to fill absentee permanent employees. 32.6% to find a specific skill set. And 29.1% use it to reduce labor costs. When asked about the frequency that companies use these firms, 53.4% of businesses cited occasional to frequent use. 14.4% said they rarely use staffing firms but will use them if necessary. And about a third, 32.2%, reported that they don't use them at all. As to why employers would choose to pay for these services over using government-funded employment programs, a number of possibilities emerge. These include the perceived quality of candidates, the idea that government-funded employment programs don't have access to the same sort of quality of candidates that private staffing firms might. The idea of purchasing expertise, employers thinking, well, we're not a subject matter in this expert, let's go out and find people who are experts at recruitment. And then there's the last piece, which I think is something we can all identify with, is that employers perceive, well, you get what you pay for. If I'm not paying for the service, then I'm not getting necessarily a good quality candidate. And we know that that's not necessarily true. So what can the career development sector do to address these concerns? Well, it certainly doesn't hurt to remember that there's a growing dissatisfaction with placement in temporary firms. It's also extremely valuable when you engage employers to remind them that with rising inflation and employer costs, recruitment through a funded organization can provide tremendous financial benefits with little, if no cost at all. Beyond this, it's important for us as career professionals to focus on perceived value of our services. Just like we should encourage our clients or students to believe they are fortunate to be able to utilize our services, we should adopt a mindset of scarcity, suggesting to employers that we have a number of employers that we're contacting and marketing our clients to, and we might be able to persuade them to work for this employer or over another one. And even as I say this, it might be easy for you to think that you might be resistant to even thinking that employers that you're working with would buy into this paradigm. But I will remind you of one underlying notion. Among professional sports or talent agents, they believe in and regularly sell their clients as client services to potential customers. They are singularly focused on their clients' strengths, and they do tell potential companies that they would be lucky to be working with their clients. In the career development sector, it's easy to be tentative when we extol the skills and abilities of our clients. Believe in your clients. Mitigate their challenges, focus on their strengths, and always market them as someone who will be able to make a contribution far and beyond what the employer is expecting. By the way, even as I wrote this, I originally wrote might be able to make a contribution. And then I'm like, no, that's not right. And then I changed it to, well, they could make a contribution. And I'm like, that's not really very strong either. And then I changed it to will make a contribution, because even in writing this, I was being tentative. Can you imagine a lawyer speaking to a jury and saying, it's entirely possible that my client didn't commit this crime? We couch our pitches to employers because we want to guard against things not working out. Instead, market your clients with conviction. Take every step you can to ensure their success, and if things don't work out, deal with the fallout rather than trying to lay the groundwork for future challenges even before your client has been hired. I believe this idea of just giving a full-throated endorsement of our client is really important. We want to have confidence, and by being confident in marketing our clients will have confidence in their skills and abilities. If you are interested in these sessions, we meet every Monday. It's called Motivating Mondays, and it's 8:30 Pacific, 9:30 Mountain, 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern, 12:30 Atlantic, and at 1 p.m. in Newfoundland. And if you want to get a regular invite to these, just go to jobdevelopment.org, and you can do our automatic membership application, and then you'll get a weekly newsletter with a link to each one of these sessions. All of these services are free. We don't charge for them. We just want to be able to provide a weekly source of support to job developers across the country. And before we wrap up here, I want to sort of share my final tip to job developers out there. There are multiple phrases that you might be incorporating on a regular basis when you're meeting with employers that limit the contribution that maybe you can make or that your client can make. And I just want to sort of caution you about certain phrases, one of which is like the phrase just. I'm just calling, or I just wanted to say, or I think I should just note. Just is one of those words that really minimizes what you're going to say immediately afterwards. It's other phrases such as I feel like, or if it's not too much trouble, or if that makes sense, or if it's not too, these are really the phrases that using the word, a lot of phrases where we use the word if can limit what you're saying. I wouldn't say that there's not circumstances where you wouldn't want to use these phrases, but just be very conscious of what you're saying and how it might be minimizing what you're about to tell the employer about a potential client. As I said earlier, if your client needs to be confident in job search, we as career professionals need to be confident too. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. If you have any questions, please contact us. It's Canadian Job Development Network, www.jobdevelopment.org. And if you have any questions, send us an email at info@jobdevelopment.org. Thanks so much.